that. Last two from David Crean. One of them is, would you ever consider doing an AMA, Ask Me Anything interview on Reddit? I'd never thought about it before, but I'd be happy to do it. I don't think there's anything I've ever been really afraid to talk about. So if that's something you can set up or want to set up, or I haven't any idea how it happens, but I'd certainly be happy to do it. And then finally, also from David Crean, or Crayon, sorry, David. Is there a fellow conservative you would like to debate, and if so, what topic would it be? Also, is there a dream debate that you would like to see someday, either conservative versus conservative or conservative versus liberal? The first thing, needless to say, that flew into my head would be the Apollo debate, but I don't see any point in that. It's not about politics. I already answered the other question, Eric. So, I'll tell you one debate I would like to have, and that would be a debate with Dave Rubin. Though I think it certainly I consider him a conservative. And I would like to have a debate with Dave Rubin because Rubin has differing opinions about how to get to the same place that I think we want to go to. And I would like to debate him, not to shut him down. I'd like to debate him because I'd like to see if it'd be possible to hammer out a treaty acceptable to both parties. He's going to have a more liberal outlook on things, and his readers and viewers feel the same way. And I said on his show when I was interviewed by him that I bet we could take me and 10 of my followers and you and 10 of your followers, go into a room and bring in some sandwiches, and we could have this whole thing worked out. We'd have a political party, get 85% of the vote. We'd do it in 2 hours, no problem. And I think that would be fun just in terms of actual education. I think in terms of debating somebody on the other side, people have said, would you do the Marr show? I said, I don't think I will. And the reason I wouldn't do the Marr show is not because I don't think I could handle Bill Maher. I wouldn't do the Bill Maher show because social proof is so rigged against you there. And what I mean by that is if you get on the Bill Maher show, you're never going to get a sentence out where it's not only replied to by Bill Maher to cheers of the audience, but also by everybody else on the panel. Cannot imagine them sitting in the stunned silence, But if you ask me whether I would debate Bill Maher in a non-studio audience or anybody, absolutely I would. And even if you said, hey, 50-50, I'd take that bet anytime. I just think that going on the Bill Maher show is just, you're put at such a disadvantage, especially in the editing room. I was an editor. I was a TV editor for a long time. And I'm just not willing to do it. I know how much you can change the spin on things not because I've done it, but because I've had opportunities to do it, and I've turned those opportunities down out of some sense of professionalism. I could have cut Michael Moore to say any damn thing I wanted to, but I had to give it the best cut for content because that was my job, and I put principles above politics. If I didn't want to be an editor on that show, then I should have hired somebody else to do it. But yeah, Eric's talking about the audience. It's the audience, Was it Hitchens who was on that show, or one of the earlier on Politically Incorrect, where I think it was Hitchens who said, "You're not a comedian, Bill." And he said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You're not a comedian. This isn't comedy. This isn't even opinion. This is kind of a circus." So what do you mean? And Hitchens turns to the audience. If it was Hitchens, somebody said this apparently. Turned to the audience and says, "George Bush sucks." And everybody goes, "Yeah." And he said, "Ta-da. That's just a conditioned reflex. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter whether it's clever. It doesn't matter whether it's right. If it's the kind of things that they want to hear, that's the reaction you're going to get. And the people that are here are people that want to hear what you have to say, which is that we are smarter than everybody else and better too. And there's no arguing with those people because they're the exact opposite of self-deprecating. They're people who have something to prove. This whole Island 120 thing I talk about, I really believe in it. It's just people with slightly above average IQs, 105, 106, 112, something like that. They all want to be seen as smart. And the people they know that are smart talk about the same things. And so I call that Island 120. And we all know what happens on Island 120. Trump is a monster and a mass murderer. The climate is about to collapse. Christians are a bunch of, hayseeds, killers, or whatever the case may be. And we all know what the narrative is. And everybody agrees with it because that's what everybody else agrees with. And so we're all agreeing with each other so we can all put ourselves on Island 120, when in fact we're probably 105, 107. Smarter than the average bear, perhaps, but not as smart as we think we are. Let me rephrase that. Not as smart as we would like to be, and so we'll do everything we can to convince people that we're smarter than we are. And the way to convince people that we're smarter than we are is to agree with everything that people who look smart to you say. And that drives the whole thing is driven like that. But when you get past Island 120, when 120 is in the rearview mirror, now I need a telescope to see it up in front of me, but there are people like Thomas Sowell and so on who are way past it. They don't feel the need to have to impress people because they know they're intelligent. They know enough about their own intelligence that they don't have to prove to other people how intelligent they are. They just start considering issues. And when you see like somebody, just as an example, like Thomas Sowell or Victor Davis Hanson, just take apart somebody for these, Island 120 arguments, you realize everybody wants to be on that island because none of them feel like they're smart enough to be on the island. That's why it's an echo chamber. Jeremy Borg pointed out something to me once. He said, it's weird about intelligence like that in terms of your self-esteem and so on. He said, you're almost never, may not be happy about it, but you almost never unwilling to admit, hey, that guy's taller than me, or that guy's better looking than me, or that guy's in better shape than me, or whatever. But he says, but you never hear anybody say that guy's more intelligent than me. Nobody ever puts that on the block. I think that's really onto something. I've been the smartest guy in a room, and I've been the dumbest guy in a room. Second one was a little bit smaller room, but nevertheless. And I much prefer being the dumbest guy in the room. And much prefer. And I've had that experience many times. It's just better. It's better to be constantly being able to learn things, see things, have insights and stuff than just, holding court and having people, just look, oh, well, that's really incredible. No, I'm not interested in that. And I don't mean to make this into a complaint. It's not. But I know that a lot of times during, the Star Citizen stuff that we do, a lot of Strata Loungers here are also in the game. And we all hang out afterwards sometimes. And many of us have had great adventures, and we're going to have a lot of other great adventures. And there's been one or two exceptions, but most of the time that the topic turns to politics, I'm out of there. Not because it offends me, and not because I think anybody's treading on my toes or anything, and not because I think they're even pumping me for information. They're just having a discussion. We're on Discord, and got time to kill or whatever. But when it starts talking politics and Star Citizen, I just pretty much get out, because it just comes a point where it's my day job. You know what I mean? I don't want to fix furniture at nighttime if that's what I do during the daytime, so it's important to get some distance in, and God knows that game does it for me. It just, it's not just the game. I can't put my finger on it, but I'll close with this. I can tell you elements of it. When I got married, I lost the desire to fly the airplane. I really did. I didn't just mask it. It's not like I did it for Natasha. I just lost the desire to go flying in this little airplane. And I look back on some of the things that I did, and I thought, how could you possibly take a risk like that? And it's like, well, I have something to live for now, apparently. But what I find is that, and I'm just going to throw this out there because I don't know what it is. So I just have to get into a little tiny bit of the details so you understand what I'm trying to say here. So in Star Citizen, there's a toggle switch you can throw to make the vehicles behave as they would behave in space. It's called decoupled mode, and basically now it's just a mass on a vector, and you've got 6 degrees of rotation. You pitch up and down, yaw left and right, roll clockwise and counterclockwise, displace up and down, displace left and right, and displace forward and backwards. And I've got one stick to do one thing, and I've got the other stick to do the other thing. And in this game, you get cleared to landing pads, you get cleared to space stations, you get cleared to these rest stops and so on. And when I make the call for clearance in this game, and I just get a computer voice come back, and I kick that thing into decoupled mode, and the landing pad is like maybe on the other side of this structure, and it's, it looks like about that big. It's got a little wrench on it, a little blue box where kind of your flight path, your final descent is. And I look at that little box over there, and then something important, but something that I don't really understand happens to my brain. Doing that math in my head without doing the math, just the vectors, and just watching the velocity vector, which is a prediction of where you're going to be. Just being able to finesse that and just make the whole thing just one giant smooth arc, not eek, just one giant smooth arc. It's the same feeling I got when I would practice landings in powered planes, and virtually every landing I ever made in a powered plane, if I could get it, and I couldn't always get it, I'd always ask for a close approach. I'd always request a close approach, and they'd either grant it to me or not, depending on the airspace. But most guys, when they land, they go downwind, a couple miles, make a right, make another right, and they got a mile or two to get themselves on the glide path and so on. And I would just chop the engine on the downwind. I just cut the engine. I just idled it. And then everything after that was just energy management, was just, okay, how far do you have to go in order to get down on the runway? But at which point will you be so far out that you won't be able to get down on the runway? And it's better to err on the short side than the long side. And it's hard to describe, but it's just an endorphin rush for me. I just love it. And when you do it just right, and the thing just comes down, and sometimes you can pop to an external view, and the vehicle you're in just goes, and it's got its landing gear, and it just goes, and the shock absorbers come back a little bit. I don't know. The only reason I'm talking about this is because there's something so therapeutic about that for me. I mean, really, it just relaxes me and gives me that vitamin F. I don't know what it is, but I do know that I would really be missing the flying if it weren't for the virtual flying. And I am giving some thought to seeing how we do with this next show for Daily Wire, and maybe after that's done, I might invest in a decent virtual reality headset. I would fly again, but in order for me to fly again, I would have to be in an airplane with a power plant that is considerably more reliable than a Lycoming engine. And Lycoming engines or Continentals are very reliable engines. I don't know why I've had 3 of them, but I have, and I'm not flying again, I don't think, unless I'm in a jet or an electrically powered vehicle, something that has essentially 0 chance of failing. Trevor says, get a plane with a parachute. I'm kind of over worrying about parachutes at this point. Yeah, I'll take the new trainer for the Air Force, though. That's cool. All right, I guess that'll do it. So, thanks very much for joining us. Trevor says the Cirrus. The Cirrus is a very fast, very smooth commercial, private airplane, four-seater, fixed gear, I think, and has the emergency parachute, which has saved a lot of planes. You can get in trouble, just pull this lever, boom, out goes the parachute, and the whole thing comes down on one nice little piece. But it's not so much the landing as the, holy crap, I got to pull the red lever kind of thing. And somebody, and Leola says, yeah, there is an F-16 for sale somewhere in Florida. And as far as the 10-parter is concerned, it's due out in the beginning of the second week of November is when the due date is, I think. So I got a lot of writing to do, a lot. And that's one of the reasons why we've been short on the firewalls. I've just got to get this done, and there it is. Anyway, that'll do it for this edition of the Stratosphere Lounge, made possible by the paying members at BillWhittle.com, to whom we are eternally grateful, and for whom we never lose our appreciation. So thank you for parting with some of your hard-earned money to keep this place going and keep us going. Really appreciate it. Yeah, we might do movie night next week. That might be a possibility. Why not? Okay, so until then, thanks again for being here, and hello to all of our friends on YouTube. Yeah, I mean it. And till then, we will see you next week.